राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवसादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ऑल द assembled devotees की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to all of you. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. Today we are starting from SB Canto 2, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, and we'll be starting from 15th onwards. So today, before going there, I just want to talk few points about like what we have discussed before, like yesterday's class and day before yesterday's class, because this is a very 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 important subject matter. We are talking about liberation. We are talking about how to put an end to the material existence. So I want to say a few points and then we'll go. So what we have heard from Katwanga king and Parikshit Maharaj is they have lived nice life, okay? And then if you are not going that detailed in their life, at the end, main thing, they both concentrated and they got liberation. So, one second, one second. So, um, E- so what am I telling? Like, is that if a person, say for example, if he lives for 70 years, mm, all he has to do is like live the life, and then finally, few minutes of his when he's going to die, concentrate few minutes in bhakti or few hours in bhakti, and then he will achieve liberation. Is that what we have learned? No, it's not that simple. It's not that cheap. It's not a shortcut like live however we want for 70 years and then think of the God for a few minutes and boom, we got liberation. That's not what these verses are teaching. So let's try to understand in little deeper. So why those kings, Katwanga and Parikshit Maharaj, could attain liberation quickly? Both of them attained quickly. One attained in a moment and the other one attained in a week. But both of them lived righteous lives. They were devoted to Lord. They were devoted to Dharma and they respected saints. They were already spiritually awake and had faith and humility. So, when they heard, your life ends now, their hearts immediately turned towards Krishna without hesitation, without a distraction, without any hidden desires. Their one moment or one week was not casual. It was pure, it was surrendered, honest, without any material craving. So, that kind of consciousness we are talking about, and that is very rare. So, what one moment, one sincere moment actually means? A moment here doesn't mean a few seconds of last minute of life like chanting out of fear. It means a total turning of heart, complete surrender, like I belong to Lord. I want nothing but Lord. That moment is usually the fruit of lifetime of spiritual impressions, or you can call humility and effort, even across many lives. Forget about this life, across many lives. We have already lived and came. So, wow. So, this point that now I'll enjoy and chant later doesn't work. If someone thinks, let me sin, enjoy, ignore Lord, then at death I will chant and get liberation because I have so many devotees friends. All I have to tell is tell my family members to call them, they will chant. And then, like the scriptures is saying this. uh, I will achieve. But this thinking itself is an offense because heart is not sincere here. Also, habits created over so many years in life, they control the mind. Even if someone spends decades thinking about money, lust, anger, attachments, pride, and at the moment of death, their mind naturally runs towards those things only, not Lord. So death does not magically change us. It simply reveals what we have trained our mind and heart to love. So, why scriptures are emphasizing the point now? We don't know when death comes, whether we'll be conscious, whether we'll be in pain, fear, whether we are in coma, or we'll be in confusion. We don't know what will happen. So, delaying spirituality is dangerous. That's why the message is don't wait. Cultivate remembrance now. Cultivate chanting now. Be sincere from now. Slowly deepen for Lord now. Then, if death suddenly comes, the heart is already facing the right direction and it will easily go. That's what has happened with Katvanga king, and that's what has happened with Parikshit. So, these verses of what they are teaching us is don't be discouraged by short time. Even if time is little, sincere devotion is powerful because Krishna responds to genuine surrender. But they do not mean ignore spirituality all your life and rely on the last minute trick. It doesn't work. So that's why, like imagine a parachute. You cannot jump from a plane and say, I'll see, I'll stitch some parachute on the way down and prepare before the fall. So that doesn't happen. We have to practice it before and learn how that works. And maybe at that time, if we are using it, or maybe it will work. So, what we understand is that sincere moment of surrender is powerful. Yes, it is. But that moment doesn't come just like that. That moment comes when we have lived the life of full surrender to the Lord. It's not a loophole to live irresponsibly. The self path is a steady bhakti. Gradually, we have to raise our levels slowly, go towards Krishna. Sincerely, we have to try. So, that's what these verses are teaching us. So, with that, we will start the 15th one. Why I am re emphasizing the point is because this is a very important topic. Liberation, not easy. So, that's why. 15th one, Madhu. Somebody read.
It's not this. अंतकाले तु पुरुषा आगते गतसाध्वशा छिन्द्यादसङ्गशास्त्रेण स्पृहां देहेनु ये च तम्. Translation by His Divine Grace, yes, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the last stage of one's life, one should be hold enough not to be afraid of death, but one must cut off all attachment to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother.
Thank you, Mataji. So what is this verse saying? At the end of the life, one should not fear death. Instead, one should let go of attachments to the body's possessions, and the relationships and the material desires, and turn fully toward the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, Prabhupada has explained the purport excellently, good. Actually, if we have time, we can read purport, but since we have only half an hour, I'm not going in detail. But please read, don't leave it. So here, from Prabhupada's purport, what Prabhupada is saying is mistake of materialistic thinking. Like most people live as if this world is permanent and this body is everything. And success means, in the material terms, having more wealth and a good status and a nice family, fame, power. And they forget death is certain. Death is you cannot any no one can avoid in this world. And nothing material goes with us. Everything we have to leave here and go. So even when educated people like big scientists, big politicians, big philosophers, they do everything else, but they ignore the soul. That ignorance wastes that human life. So, what is Bhagavad Gita telling? Bhagavad Gita says the soul does not die, only the bodies are changed, like changing clothes. So, death is not the end. In the eternity, come on, even if a person has lived for 100 years, it is just a fraction, right? So, death is not the end. It is simply leaving one body, entering another body. So, the type of next body which a person is going to get, that depends on our desires and our consciousness. So, what the intelligent people have to do? The intelligent people prepare ahead. Like a if a wise person will always ask, since I cannot avoid death, what should I become next? The next stage is spiritual body, going back to God's realm, and or service in Krishna, or servicing in Vaishnavas, whatever. All these are like good destinations. So that requires inner training, not last minute panic. Last minute panic will not help. So what is the real trap here? Attachment is a real trap. यही संस्पर्श जाबोगा दुख योनय एवते. That dukkha yoni will come only if we have samsparsa jaboga. If you want to have this bhoga, and what is born out of that bhoga? Definitely dukkha. So attachment means thinking my family is everything, my country is everything, my body is everything. My possessions define me. When I walk, people will say, oh, that building is owned by this person. That land is owned by this person. And that son who is very, he came up in life is a big scientist or whatever. She gave birth. It's her son or his son. So all these possessions define me with it. But all of these end at death. When we sleep at night, we forget everything temporarily. Death is a longer version of that. So how we can understand, yeah, things we have, what we possess, we forget everything when we sleep in the night. So death is a longer version of that. So clinging tightly to temporary things cause fear and suffering. Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, very clearly giving examples. So how do we train? We have to train, change the desire. Desire we cannot stop, because desire will come, but we can change the direction of the desire. We cannot stop desiring. Desire is a part of the soul, but you can redirect the desire from money, from status, from family obsession, pleasure, power, to Lord, to serve Vaishnavas, or to serve the Lord. I want to go back to my original home. As devotion grows, material desires naturally weaken. Like you will be no more be interested in anything material. So, what is like Varnashrama training? That's why even in the Varnashrama Dharma, why Lord has created Varnashrama Dharma? To train us. Everything has been created in this world, or we have been given to train us. What do we learn? In the youth, in the brahmacharya, we learn discipline. And as a grahastha, in the adulthood, we learn how to be responsibly, like live in the family. And in the Vanaprastha, later years, we have to learn detachment. And in Sannyasa, which is a final stage, fully dedication to Lord. But not everyone follows literally today. But the principle is gradually loosen attachment, increase devotion, prepare peacefully. Those who refuse and cling stubbornly to worldly identity, they become bound again. That's what is the uh, ultimate end. So the key point is replace attachment with devotion. We just don't give up everything. We transfer love from my family, my society, my name to my Lord. And let me my life be a service to him. And then detachment becomes natural, not forced. So that's why uh, what we understand is fear of death exists only because of attachment. We fear losing the body, we fear losing relationships, possessions, identity, control, etc., etc., etc. But when the love shifts to Lord, then the door, death becomes easy. It becomes a doorway. It's not a disaster anymore. So we are not asked to hate our family or run away irresponsibly, leaving everything. No, that's not what uh, Lord is teaching us or Prabhupada is teaching us. We are asked to love them without illusion, serve them lovingly, but without thinking they are ultimate. So that's what we are supposed to. At the end of the life, courage comes not from leaving everything, but from detachment and devotion. Let go of temporary identity and turn towards the Lord. That's the real preparation. Next.
Hare Krishna. Grahat pravarchito dhira punyatita jala pluta sukhai vivikta asino vidivat kalpitasani. Translation: one should leave home and practice self control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place. Duly,
Go ahead, Mataji. Finish?
sorry, ma'am. I thought somebody was talking.
No, no, no.
Lonely place, duly sanctified. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay. So what is the verse saying? 16th verse is saying that a person should gradually step away from busy world life, control the senses, live simply in a holy place, keep clean, sit peacefully in a quiet spot, and focus on God. It's not saying everyone must suddenly run away, but it is saying that life should slowly turn from outer world to inner life. So in the purport, if you read, right, Prabhupada says very clearly that you have to retire after 50. This is the verse I was talking about that Prabhupada writes here in the purport. So anyway, what we understand from this? Why leave too much attachment to home? Why leaving? Because human life is meant for spiritual growth. If we stay overly attached to family pride, family, money, position, we forget that life is temporary, first thing. And second thing is danger of thinking I will enjoy forever. Because people plan and plan and plan for a bigger house, more comfort and more etc whatever, but death comes suddenly. Then we have to take another body according to our actions. Now why scriptures are suggesting retiring around 50, or why Prabhupada is saying around 50? It is not about abandoning responsibility. It means reduce material involvement, increase spiritual practice, prepare the heart for returning to Krishna. And what are the things which help us? Of course, definitely visiting holy places. Holy places are meant for spiritual progress, and holy places exist to help our mind get detached from these worldly things and remember Lord. And we should not take visiting places for as a vacation, or sit with the friends, a group of friends, gossip and create a new comfortable life again. Even if we move to Vrindavan with that kind of consciousness, it is simply waste. So what is more important is the understanding, because dham of the Lord is not different from Lord. So even if someone moves to the dham, or it's not definitely for creating new comfortable life again. No, it is a process where we want to connect with the Lord. So real renunciation is not outward, it is inner. So just leaving home, because Prabhupada is saying leave home at 50, just leaving home at 50 is not enough. If someone leaves home but still chases pleasures, nothing has changed, right? So true spiritual life means self control, especially over sexual desires. So the real goal is create a pure place to sit, chant, and remember Lord. So the mind becomes peaceful and fixed on the Lord. So turning mind from material life to Lord, that alone brings spiritual success. So that's why what we understand is it is verses not mainly talking about physically leaving home. It is talking about leaving inner attachment. So you can live. Madhuri, why is it somebody why is it echoing? Okay. So verse is not talking mainly about physically leaving home. It's talking about mainly leaving inner attachment. Like you can live in the family with the family, no problem. Do your duties, no problem. Live in a city, no problem. But still practice self-control, devotion, remembrance of Krishna, and therefore finally simple living, high thinking. Real living home means what? Real living our ego, greed, pride, and endless desires. That's what this is mainly about. So, this is the teaching reminds us that life has a purpose we need to understand, and that is beyond comfort. And for everyone, death is certain. So, prepare wisely. And of course, we have to, attachment always binds us. So, we should not be attached to anything which is here. So, therefore, and what frees us? Devotion frees us. Attachment binds, devotion will free. So, choose the one which is freeing, not the one which is binding. And self discipline is not punishment. Self discipline means it's protection. We are protecting ourselves so that we are not bound here. So, what is the ultimate takeaway point is when we gradually train the mind to remember Lord, life becomes meaningful, it becomes peaceful, and it becomes fearless. Actually, that story is there, right? I don't know if you remember or not. Washerman with four donkeys. It's a famous story. I think everybody knows. This is about training mind. Um, you know that, Mataji, all of you know it. Or shall I tell?
Please
Could
go
you
ahead.
tell Mataji which one are you talking about, please?
Okay, Mataji, let me tell. Okay, Mataji. So there is one washerman. He takes four donkeys with him every day with a load of clothes on it, and he washes all the clothes. And like actually, two of them go. Two washermen they go together. So when they go, like one goes with four. Donkeys, and he goes washes the clothes, and when he gets tired in the afternoon he eats his food, and then he ties the donkeys to a tree and he sleeps there every afternoon. And in the evening when he's he's okay to come back, he unties the donkeys and then keeps again the clothes on them and then carries back home. One day in a hurry he forgets, like he takes four ropes to tie. One day he forgets, or he takes only three ropes. The other one, fourth one, he forgets. So after going there, he washes, and then again in the afternoon, both the friends they go. Then he keeps the donkeys. Now he's wondering, three I can tie, but what about the other one? I don't have the rope. So he's like, if I leave it, it will run away. Now what to do? So the other wise friend advises him, do one thing, pretend as if you're tying it. Like, just like every day how you tie, you pretend as if you're tying it. And then it will not go anywhere. He's like, really? Yeah. So he does it and then he sleeps. And when he wakes up, like all the four are there. Wow, really? And then he unties them as he does every day. The one which he didn't tie, he expects it to move. So when he's moving, he's like saying, come on, to the donkeys, like we say, right? Chai, 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 move, move, like that. So it was saying, and one donkey not moving, it was shouting at the top of the voice. And this washerman is like, beat him, beat that donkey, do everything, push it, but it's not moving. So the wise person says, you have tied it in its mind, you have tied it. So now untie it, then only it will move. So even though you didn't tie it physically, it is thinking you tied it. So it is expecting you to untie. So he bends down, he pretends as if he has untied it, and then it will move. So this is about, the rope is this is like our mind is also like that. Like you have done the action of tying in, the donkey, he has done that action of tying in the morning until you do the action of untying, is both are necessary. So what we understand is how these imaginary ropes and chains are we carrying in our mind, how many of these chains are real and how many of these chains are imaginary, like the donkey had. The honest answer is most of the chains, means our problems, are just imaginary. Only few are real chains, problems. But the thing is, we think the real chain, and what is the real problem? Real problem is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, right? This is the real problem. And all the other things are, anyway, if you don't solve, it is going to end after we go. Or the day we are born and the day we go away, in between only all these problems are existing. They will go anyway. But we make these problems so real that we are forgetting the real problems. That's what the story is talking about. That we chase after these imaginary problems, and then we forget about the real chains, which are the real problems. But the real chains are the real problems which we have to answer. And doing devotion is answering that. Doing devotion is putting an end to the real problems of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Because if we don't do that, then again all these problems will start. New relationships, new body, new problems, new everything will start. So this is an ongoing process. That's what we understand. 17th one, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Abhyasen manasa shuddham Trivrid param Mano yachetita svaso Brahma bijam avishmaran. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. After sitting in the above manner, make the mind remember the three transcendental letters Om, and by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seat. Hare Krishna and thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Madhuri. So, what is the verse saying? The verse is saying, 17th one. After sitting properly and peacefully, focus the mind on the sacred sound Om. Breathe slowly and steadily, and use the breath to help control the mind so that it does not forget its sacred sound. So, what is Om? Om is definitely the divine Pranava mantra, correct? And it represents Krishna, it represents the spiritual truth. And chanting and remembering Om helps the mind turn towards the Lord. Now, breathing and mind are closely linked, definitely. Because in the yoga process, also they say that fast breathing it creates a restless mind. Slow breathing. That's why in the pranayam, we take slowly the air in and slowly out. I don't know much about yoga, but this point I know because I heard once. Like fast breathing, it like it is like restless mind, and slow breathing is it makes the calm mind. So when we breathe gently and remember Om, the restless mind becomes peaceful and controlled. This does not destroy the mind, it trains the mind. So, mind should not be killed. We cannot stop thinking completely, not possible, because mind is, I mean, it's made as like, it will work for sure. But we can change what mind thinks about. Instead of worry, instead of lust, instead of anger, instead of greed, we can teach the mind to think about Krishna. And so, and also the other thing what we are reading here is sound, listening the sound, because sound purifies the heart. Spiritual sound changes the quality of our thoughts. Even disturbed people can find healing when they are listening to the spiritual sound, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So here Om is considered the seed of all spiritual sound. So for beginners, like say a person who is not at all exposed to spirituality at all, for beginners, some may find it difficult to meditate directly on the personal form of the Lord or name of the Lord. So they are first trained with breath control, remembering Om, disciplining the mind gently, and later the heart becomes ready for deeper devotion. But of course, for our training, we already have Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we can concentrate on doing Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So here, this is what it is teaching is, it is not, the teaching is not only about a sound. It is about training the inner life. Like, Om reminds us, I am not this body. I am a soul and I am connected to Krishna. And or if you call it a Om, or we can call it Hare Krishna Mahamantra also. What is Hare Krishna Mahamantra training? Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we do, it definitely tells that this name is not different from Krishna. And we are not this body. We are the soul who are servitors of Krishna. And I am connected to Krishna only. That way, breath controls body to, like, not in the past or the future. It is jumping everywhere. It is like a monkey jumping everywhere. So that mind is lives in the present moment. It comes to the awareness, and the heart will be filled with Lord. So when we breathe and the awareness both unite with sacred remembrance of the Lord, then the heart becomes pure. So what we understand is, the mind follows habit. Like whatever we repeatedly think about becomes our nature. That is the reason why in the previous verse we have taken the example of the donkey. Why? Because mind follows a habit. Like, what is that habit actually? Whatever we do every day, mind follows that. So if we are the donkey, the person was pretending it as if he was tying it. When he pretended as if it was tying, the donkey thought that, okay, I'm tied and it is standing there. And he has to again untie also, then it will walk. Similarly, our mind also follows a certain kind of things, a habit basically. So whatever we repeatedly think about, we repeatedly do, that becomes our nature. So we give the mind something pure, like the here of course the verse is talking about Om, but we give the mind to do the japa of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So it learns to rest in this Lord. So real meditation is like, not escaping from the world or not running away from responsibilities, not blankness, but changing the direction of the heart from I, my, and mine to Lord, I am yours. So this is the preparation for devotion. Like definitely, like, impersonal meditation is like preparing the ground. So whatever we are talking about, the later the heart becomes ready to lovingly remember Lord's names, form, qualities, presence. That is the ultimate goal. So, only 17, right, Madhuri? I'll stop it. Are there any questions, comments, or any points anybody has? Please go ahead. Okay, Mataji, if there are no questions, comments, or points, then very nice. We will meet tomorrow. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to all of you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Okay, thank you.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.